balance of global power, certain alliances operate in the shadows, weaving a web of intrigue and defiance. From the vast steppes of Siberia to the Caribbean shores of Latin America, a player on the world's chessboard has become unshakable: Vladimir Putin, and his boldest pawn, in a nation rich in oil yet fractured by crisis, Nicolás Maduro. To understand the present, we must look back to the dawn of the 21st century. Following the fall of the Soviet Union, Russia sought to restore its global footprint. Venezuela, under the charisma of Hugo Chavez, found in Putin a partner willing to challenge U.S. hegemony in the Western Hemisphere. Billions in Russian weaponry, energy deals, and unconditional political backing. Moscow wasn't just selling arms, they were selling an ideology, a multipolar world where Washington's power could finally be checked. When Chavez passed, Maduro inherited this complex tapestry of loyalty and debt. But as Maduro's regime buckled under the weight of sanctions and internal unrest, the alliance with Russia stopped being an option. It became a matter of survival. What did Putin stand to gain by keeping Maduro in power, defying the world's greatest superpower? The answer is deeper than it seems. Russia's intervention in Venezuela is far from a gesture of socialist solidarity. It is a cold, calculated masterpiece of Realpolitik. For Vladimir Putin, this South American nation represents much more than an ideological ally. It is a vital strategic foothold in a hemisphere long dominated by the United States. First, we must follow the money. Over the last 2 decades, Moscow has poured billions into the Venezuelan regime. This isn't just debt, it's leverage. Every Russian Sukhoi jet flying over Caracas, every S-300 missile battery stationed on the coast, is a physical reminder of a debt that Maduro can never truly repay with currency. He pays with sovereignty. But the true prize lies beneath the soil. Despite the crippling sanctions and the decay of infrastructure, Venezuela sits upon the largest proven oil reserves on the planet. For a global energy titan like Russia, controlling, or at least influencing, the Venezuelan flow is a double win. It allows Moscow to manipulate global supply prices while ensuring that Washington cannot easily turn to its neighbor for a quick energy fix. In the halls of the Kremlin, Venezuela is seen as the Western Front. By maintaining a military and economic presence here, Putin sends a clear message to the White House. If you interfere in my backyard in Eastern Europe, I will sit at your front door in the Caribbean. Across the ocean, in the briefing rooms of the Pentagon and the CIA, the mood is one of clinical focus. Washington's agenda toward Venezuela has evolved from simple diplomatic pressure to a comprehensive strategy of strangulation. While the public rhetoric speaks of democracy and human rights, the underlying reality is a battle for regional energy security. Under the current administration's 2026 mandate, the Venezuela problem is no longer a side issue. It is a national security priority. The goal is the complete dismantling of the Maduro-Putin axis. But how do you topple a regime that has the world's most dangerous nuclear power as its guarantor? The US has deployed a Maximum Pressure 2.0 campaign. It's not just about stopping oil, it's about a digital and financial blockade designed to make Maduro's presence in a cell a permanent reality. Every secret bank account in Turkey, every shell company in Panama, and every shadow shipment of gold is being tracked in real time by American intelligence. But there is a ghost in the room: the Monroe Doctrine. For 2 centuries, the United States has declared the Americas off-limits to foreign powers. Putin's presence in Caracas isn't just a political disagreement, it is a historic red line that Washington is no longer willing to tolerate. The question is no longer if they will act, but how far they are willing to go to reclaim the hemisphere. As we move deeper into 2026, we find ourselves at a terrifying crossroads. The relationship between Moscow and a captive Maduro hangs by a fraying thread. The world is witnessing a high-stakes poker game where the chips are measured in millions of barrels and thousands of lives. Recent intelligence suggests that the Kremlin is preparing a Plan B. If Maduro becomes a liability, or if the US pressure becomes unbearable, Russia may look to replace him with a more stable, yet equally loyal figurehead. Or worse, they may turn Venezuela into a permanent military fortress, equipped with long-range assets that could strike American soil in minutes. Meanwhile, the American political landscape is a powder keg. With the next election looming, the Venezuela card is being played by both sides. A move for a final rescue or a total extraction of Maduro from his current situation could be the spark that ignites a direct conflict between the two greatest nuclear powers on Earth. But the battle for Venezuela isn't just fought by politicians and generals in suits. In the shadows, a more dangerous game is unfolding: the war of the mercenaries. Reports have long circulated about the presence of the Wagner group and other Russian private military contractors operating deep within Venezuelan territory. Their mission? It's twofold. First, to provide an unbreakable ring of security around the regime's most sensitive assets, and, perhaps, to ensure Maduro remains secured in his current state. Second, to protect Russian gold and mining interests in the Orinoco mining arc. These are men with no flags, operating outside the Geneva Convention, answering only to the Kremlin. On the other side, Washington has not been idle. The Caribbean has become a playground for contract intelligence. Private firms, often led by former special forces, are hovering on the edges of the border, waiting for the right moment. We are seeing a privatization of the conflict. In 2026, the line between a formal military operation and a corporate coup has completely blurred. Every shadow moving in the Caracas night could be the start of the final extraction. While Moscow provides the muscle, another giant lurks in the background: Beijing. China's Belt and Road Initiative has found in Venezuela its most desperate partner. For years, China has traded infrastructure for oil, creating a debt trap that even a post-Maduro government would struggle to escape. Washington knows that to win the war in Venezuela, they must also win the economic war against the yuan. If Venezuela transitions from a petrodollar system to a petro-yuan or a Russian-backed digital currency, the American financial hegemony in the Western Hemisphere would suffer its greatest blow since the Cold War. This is the silent war, the battle for the very currency we use to trade. As the clock ticks in 2026, the world watches. Is Venezuela the first domino to fall in a new global realignment? Or will it be the graveyard where the dreams of a new Russian empire finally wither? The prisoner in Caracas holds the secrets, but the superpowers hold the keys. The chessboard is smoking, and the next move might be the last.